Not a good place. We went and we walked quick. It was marshy and.
All right, going live here.
We went and we walked.
Oh, mute it. Okay.
For his signature.
Okay, we are live.
Just find the minutes first. Okay, I'll call our meeting to order, December 14th, 2021. Roll call. Will Rodabush.
Here.
Chris Moen.
Here.
Les Barber.
Here.
Christina Tracy, not here. And John Sampson here. If we can take a look at the minutes, hopefully we already have. And if there's a motion to approve the minutes, which we've just signed. Make a motion. Okay.
October
Hello.
26th, 2021.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we will move forward. I put into the agenda administrative items, just some housekeeping things that I thought we could start with, and then we'll move forward to other items. But I wanted to just start by thanking our commission publicly and on the record for a great year. This is the end of the year, and we've seen a lot of progress with the commission, and I'm really proud of the work that we've done. And in particular, I wanted to thank each of you that are here, Chris, for your work on the inventory and lots of other things, but also your great attendance at workshops. That was pretty impressive. All the workshops that you've attended and that experience you bring to us. So thank you for that. And Heather, for communicating with all of us so many times and so regularly, we really appreciate that. You've been terrific in keeping us on task. Will pursuing a preservation fund and also assisting with various meetings, but particularly with Rodney Rogers at the university. We really appreciate that, and the lots of other ideas that you're bringing forth. And Les, of course, for great minutes and for his operational advice and suggestions. We all really appreciate that. So thank you all for your great work this year. I wanted to just briefly talk about communication amongst our commission. And I would ask that we all frequently try to stay in touch with each other, maybe a little bit better, as much as possible to respond to emails and to share our progress in timely ways. Heather is the best at this, and we're not quite as good, and I think we can do a little bit better job. We're really a pretty good team, and I know we're all committed to our commission, and none of us have extra time to waste. So when we can, please respond quickly. I think we all agreed to help research and share the inventory information on the city building, but the process didn't quite work, and maybe there are better ways of approaching this type of project. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, finally, planning for our next meeting. I'd like to get that on the books early in our meeting, so we don't have to scramble at the end of the hour. I'm looking at the fourth Tuesday of January. It looks like it's January 25th. Does that seem possible for everyone? I see nods. Okay. Heather, is that that meeting time good for this space?
It should be on the calendar already. When we created that fourth Tuesday time, we put it on there.
So 4:00, yes. Okay, so let's officially make that our next designated meeting time. Great. Local designation discussion. I'd like to change the order of our agenda just slightly. And we'll talk about the city building last on this. That's going to be, I think, our most important item for discussion today. But just to bring us up to date, the Boomtown donation has been received. Ellen Dalton made that transfer of $1,260. So we all need to be thinking about ways that we might best use that money to help promote our work. Maybe we can, if you have ideas today, we can throw them out. And we did talk about that a little bit last time, I think. Do you have something you want to say there, Chris?
No, just
Okay.
listening.
All right, great. County Courthouse, do we have anything happening on that, Heather?
No update.
Okay, I know that we anticipated it would take some months, right? To
Yes.
get an answer back. The meeting with Dr. Rogers and the university, as we reported last time, was, we thought, pretty successful. And Dr. Rogers promised he would get back to us early December. It's past early December, and I have heard nothing. So I will make another contact with him. It may not be the greatest moment of the month to do that, but at some point before our next meeting, I'll find out what's going on with the university. And yeah. So I don't have any other information on that one. Okay, so let's talk about our Bowling Green City Building. I did have a brief email conversation with Chris Moen, asking her if she can help us push that forward. And she said she would,
Yeah.
with some time constraints for yourself.
I should be able to have some progress on that by our next meeting. I just am have quite a few deadlines coming up in mid-January, but after that, I should be able
Okay.
to devote some more time. I was going back though through our procedures for designation, and so it says that the commission shall note in its written recommendation to city council which of the listed criteria the property be designated has met. So, in 158.06A, it has designation criteria. So I think I was thinking maybe a good way to do this would be to have our, sort of a form letter we've created that says, we're designating this property. Here are the criteria that it meets per our ordinance. And then we can attach that inventory form so they get a good idea of what we looked at in terms of the,
Okay.
what information we thought was important.
So as far as our procedure of what comes first, should that letter come first? Should our inventory be completed? But when we send that, should that go together?
I envisioned them going together to city council. I don't know if they really want to dive into all that inventory stuff, but it provides them with why it's historic.
For us, the draft and proof it up to final.
Right. I mean, we're required to provide a written recommendation that has the criteria that the property falls under. So that's sort of, and then that goes to city council.
So thinking of using
So-
your inventory form then? Yeah,
I guess I don't see why we wouldn't provide that information. Like,
Mhm.
that
Or
was
the-
one of my questions is that
I
excessive?
would think so, yeah.
Okay.
And I think the letter that goes with it doesn't have to be terribly lengthy.
Right.
Just explaining why we think this is important and valuable, and here's proof of it with the inventory, and
Right.
would they open that for discussion? Now, I know it also has to go to the planning commission, and I'm not sure of the sequence of that.
Doesn't the
City
city
takes care of
council?
that.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it automatically, it goes to the planning commission automatically if we send it to council, correct?
Yeah, I mean, normally how a process would work is that once you actually make a motion during your meeting, I would typically write up something to refer that to whether it be council or planning commission or both. Does that make sense? So I could capture your motion in a form letter. Or
And-
however you prefer.
And
Yep.
you would push that forward
Correct.
in whatever way you deem the correct way, and we'll count on you to be able to
Sure,
do that
following
for
the
us.
ordinance, right, right. mhm.
Yeah. Great.
I could just want to say, Chris's description of what we should do sounds just right to me.
Mhm.
And I guess we'll need to have a motion, and probably the motion should come when we have something in front of us that we want to submit to council. I looked at the inventory issue. I had no way of coming up with more information than had already been gathered. So I think we have more than enough to meet the needs of both the state and here locally. And
Okay.
including a copy of, including the form along with it sounds like a good idea, because we have to do that form eventually to go to the state anyway, right?
So that was one of my questions. Well, this is going to the state for what purpose?
They, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, they approve of our proposal, and then they put their stamp on it, and that makes it
Yeah.
No,
official.
I don't,
I don't think
that's not my understanding. My understanding is they want the information.
You think that we can
I see what
do,
you're saying.
Yeah,
we're able to make that decision
Yeah.
ourselves?
but we need to inform them
Yeah,
that we have
yes.
added something to our local register.
Okay.
Is that your understanding?
Yeah,
I think we just have to maintain our local inventory.
right.
And if, as part of our reporting, we would submit that, that's what
So
I
it'd be more like an
envisioned.
End of the year thing, not
Sure.
not necessarily
Right.
immediately.
Right,
Okay, that's good.
So we don't need the state approval
correct.
for any of our decisions?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Good.
That, the initial form that we kind of looked at as maybe a possibility of using as our inventory form, though, Ohio free inventory form or historic inventory form. If we were to fill those out, we could send them to the state. They like to have all that information. I don't know if they want, since we're not going that route, I don't know if they want, we're focusing on something a little bit different than
And
that.
you're saying you don't know if they have to have it on their form, or if we can use our own form and give that to them?
Last time Nathan was here, he indicated that if we wanted to send him that information, but it's not, not required to have, like Heather said, we have to maintain our inventory
Mhm.
for our use, and they just like to know that we're doing that. I
Well,
don't think they actually need the full inventory information.
I like, excuse
Makes it
me,
easier still.
I like your form, and I would prefer to just use this one and not go back
Yeah.
to that other more cumbersome one. I know I filled out what I could do. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of things and a lot of description. And that's where I'm hoping, Chris, you can guide us through.
Yeah, and I think that was I guess my next question in terms of the process. And let's say, one of my neighbors wants to nominate their house to be on our list in our inventory. I I don't think we want to get to the point where they're having to hire a professional to fill out this form. So I do think for, for our exercise, obviously I'm like willing to help with the inventory, but I wonder if we need to start focusing on some sort of guide that helps explain some of the nomenclature and things like that, so people will be able to fill these out
By themselves.
by themselves,
Yeah.
or, with some help, maybe with Google searching and not, needing to call up professional
Right.
people.
At the Bgsu Archives. Did everybody go there?
I've
I
never
went-
been.
I went
I
about
haven't.
Needle Hall.
Yeah.
It was interesting, the whole process of looking and finding things on it. This is, and I think it would be good to maybe incorporate this part of this document and supplement it with the
And
the
what is,
physical inventory of materials.
what is that document?
This is actually for Floral Hall.
Mhm.
Oh, the National Register.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and because it goes into, it's rather simple. Because it goes through and has some information about the things like this. But the part that's kind of interesting is, well, it has about the significance, but it also has about, has a about description.
Mhm.
Falls, tape highlighted by the because, well, it goes into some description about it and the significance. It talks about first, the building serves as a floor exhibit F. The county fair moved on Albany first. So it goes into some description,
Mhm.
like the significant, just part of a page.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if you got a chance to look at what John did for the city building, the police building. He pulled the excerpts from the National Register and, just because into our form, which I thought was, we don't need to reinvent the wheel if it's already there.
I think a lot of that's also from that book, which is, I think, taken from the register.
Right.
sure.
Or, yeah. Or vice versa.
I'm not sure where it came from,
Yeah.
but I liked it. I thought it worked well. I did send you all this, didn't I? I think I sent a copy of that.
My email's been down on, I've got to get over.
Mm.
You did.
We're going to get to another topic in a little bit later, Chris, as far as needing help.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah.
For a commission and maybe and Les had some good ideas on this that like him to talk about because we just can't do it all ourselves. I
Right.
just can't see it happening. It's really interesting, but who's got? I don't have 24 hours a day to devote to inventorying buildings.
Don't you think that we have enough, or maybe even more, way more than enough?
You mean for the city building?
Information for the police
Oh,
building to?
Yeah.
I don't
There's
think
just
it has to
some,
be terribly elaborate. The city council
No.
already knows that it's a significant building.
yeah.
We just need that.
Well,
There's
this-
just some minor, we, in the inventory form, we had, the roof shape, like, and then some of it's like, not everyone's gonna know what a gambrel roof is. So that's what I mean. But if we were to have a guidebook that said, even with just some pictures
Yeah,
of what those might look like, then it
looked
might
at-
help people kind of check those boxes.
I looked at.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is pretty simplistic. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
probably not that accurate, but I was doing exactly that. But I don't know that everyone in our city is going to want to do that kind of research. I can't
Right.
imagine. Yeah.
So what John already did is great. And I'll just fill in those like tiny missing
Some boxes.
details.
Yeah.
the building, I think, was, I don't know if it's, I didn't see it in here, but the original building, all the remains of it is 2 walls. West wall and the north wall. Because the rest of it was all gutted. They, in what, 1986, whenever they did the police station.
Is that right? I didn't
no.
know that. No. Okay. So
I
do we,
think it's mentioned in the history,
yeah,
that one or the
In
other.
that one, yeah, it does talk.
And it goes through and it talks
renovation.
about the 2 walls. I think those kind of things are important. Just in describing it, but like very minimally. Now, it's sort of like the Flora Hall, kind of the history, and it may have been in what you did.
I
like, as
actually,
the- What
I'm
it
sure-
went through from being, it was the original courthouse.
right,
So for 2 years while they were building,
correct.
yeah, so
Yeah.
those kind of,
Yeah, what year was it remodeled?
This is
think-
the 1980.
1980.
uh,
I know I was.
renovated 85 to 86.
Oh,
They kept the facade.
Yeah.
So this is kind of interesting because I thought that's just like what's going on with the post office. Keep the facade to keep the historic significant part, but like the police station, they modernized. kind
The
of.
interior.
But did they keep the, did they keep the whole structure?
I don't think so. I think.
So it's
maybe
even
they-
more like the post
I
office
think
building?
so.
Yeah, we'll look into that more.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
okay, good. Yeah, thank you for
Well, the
bringing that.
architect, and you may, was David Stein, and I think it's in, I don't know whether they exist, because I find it interesting to try to track down drawings
Well,
like that.
now Heather, what you gave us was a drawing from the construction, the original construction, is that right?
No, I gave you the Sanborn maps, the old fire insurance maps that go up to, I believe, 1949.
Okay, so you looked at the Sanborn map from, it says 1893.
They start then.
And that was a map of the city building. When was that map?
This,
I
this
started
map,
with the first one.
yeah, 1893 was.
This was
first one.
1893.
Mhm.
So that should go along with our inventory, I would think, right? That map? Wouldn't
mean,
that be
I-
valuable to have there?
I think a lot, and we can maybe add that note, we're requesting photos of any inventory so that someone makes an alteration later, we can look at it and,
Yours
and
might
see
be
what we
had it-
think
did
is-
Have a like reference in the document. I think that's probably a good idea, like as to where we found data. And it gets into part of it too. It's like if we're using words from that author, do we need to get into legally,
Yeah.
referencing like we would in a journal article?
Probably,
I don't know.
yes. No?
No, I said, oh, I don't know.
I think so, probably, and probably do it in like, what, APA format or something that's
Yeah.
like in the, like a reference list. So
And
that someone
I
else could
think
just,
for buildings like this, there's going to be that information, but my next door neighbor, he's going to describe the physical portions of his house, and that's probably about it. I mean, there's not going to be, newspaper articles and things that he's referencing.
Right.
So,
I think if we found them, maybe to include them.
Yeah,
That's
and I guess that's I would say this inventory form, I guess, is what we're requiring. And then if people want to provide extra, I mean,
No,
that's going to be,
thought they're like where
provide.
thought they're.
Mhm.
I've been,
It's just noted additional information may be provided via attachment. So they can give us anything else they want at that point.
I've been working on my own house, which Dick Marsh did some research for me. That was his
Oh.
home
Oh,
when he was growing up. And so he went to the courthouse for me, which is great. And he traced the back to when it was platted in 1897. And I'm not sure what that means. Is that just mapping it out? What does platted mean?
Normally, it's the splitting of the property when it was created, that lot.
yeah.
That lot.
Right,
Mhm.
right. So we have all the owners since then, all documented by Dick Marsh, which is kind of interesting to me.
do you know he went to the recorder's
Yeah.
office for that?
Yeah, he said that's what he does. That's
Yeah.
his job, one of his jobs. So,
I can have title abstracts and things like that.
yeah.
I don't know if this is exact location are in our agenda to talk about this, but I can't remember. I think someone else was on that history workshop that Marnie put on a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
You were on
that
that.
was,
She did talk about that, and I reached out to her. She gave me a list of all the resources. I've shared with you all the resource book that Preserve Toledo put out that uses the Toledo Lucas County Library resources, and I was hoping to create a similar guide with the Wood County Library resources.
Great.
That's my starting point. Obviously, we also have the BGSU archives. So eventually I'd like to get in there, and then
And
we can
I
have like
keep-
a full packet of how to do all this research for anybody who wants to learn more.
I can give you their website because they get on the computer right away to start sorting through what they've got.
Yeah. And I'll look and I'm sure they have someone on their website, but if you have a contact for
I
their
do.
kind
I've
of
got,
local
like,
history
she's the-
person. Yeah. Great.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
so that's important for the future, but
Yeah.
it's not directly relevant to this issue about the police building.
correct.
Correct.
So,
Do I understand that we all agree we have enough information
And-
now to make a suitable, appropriate recommendation to
Letter to
council, and that, Chris, you have agreed that you'll do a draft of something? Or
I
that's
can-
not true?
Yes, I
Okay.
can finish up what John started at the city building. Said it's mostly just checking the right boxes for the architectural features. And then I can also draft a letter that can go with that by next meeting.
perfect. And then if we all agree to your draft, we can move it forward.
Yeah.
And I think with the idea, and it can be explained when we send this to council, that this is a model.
That's
This is
starting
our,
model, yep.
this is our beginning.
Right.
And we're learning as we go along, and we would like their approval and help in pushing that forward and making that declaration of a historical site. Okay, we're all good with that? Perfect.
We also have to keep in mind, as soon as that goes to council, I think we need to send out our written survey. Is that right? Or does council send it, does council review and then
I
we
think
send
the-
out the owner
I think
survey?
the survey, isn't that like for multiple
Yeah,
properties
this is
within it would be possibly within a district.
city.
The ci-
The mayor has
the ci-
already
this one's-
indicated
this one
support for
doesn't.
this. so-
The city is the
Right.
owner,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I don't think we would have to
No,
do,
this would be like, I think if we wanted to do a district that has 10 properties and we have,
I didn't know because of how it's written in the ordinance. It doesn't say for a district, does
right?
it?
It should. I think it does.
Okay. Recommendations to city council to establish a historic district, initiate with the commission. So maybe that's right, that it's only for a district that we need this survey.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's true.
Okay.
Now there is the other thing is the public hearing. And I don't know if that would be required for a public building like this.
Again, I think that, I don't have my copy with me, but I think that the hearing is required for a district. I don't think it's required for an individual property.
Okay, maybe we should try to find that out here.
Sorry, I tried to lighten my load today. I didn't bring
I
my-
didn't bring my,
I have mine. Do you remember what number we're on there, Chris?
158.06,
68,
58.
58.06.
B starts the designation process.
Okay, I'm still searching. B, okay. So recommendations to city council of a historic district initiate with the commission. Now, that's not exactly what we're doing here. Then a written survey. And okay, how do you say this word? Chris?
Contiguous.
Contiguity of districts, all right. All properties within the historic district should be contiguous. Individual property designations, now we're not dealing with that.
Well, this one
Yeah,
would
we
be an
are.
individual
That's the one
property.
we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, yes. The property that is not otherwise included in an historic district, see this, well, it's in the Boomtown district.
Right, but our
Or
historic
in the
district,
Main Street, but this would be separate. This is our
Right.
own, this is the
That's-
HBC.
That's
Yeah.
National Register.
Right.
There
Yeah.
is no boomtown as far as.
as far as our
ordinance goes.
commission, right?
Will originate with the owner. The owner's the city, and we're acting on behalf of the city. Upon receipt of the owner's consent to the listing on a local register, the commission may make recommendations concerning the designation to city council.
Okay.
And there's commission review and recommendation, public hearing. That's back to the individual property owner. Notice of hearing, recommendation to city council, council and planning commission review. So there's a lot of steps there.
Mhm.
So that applies to an individual listing?
Yeah,
I missed
it's
it.
all in, so, it is all kind of in the same procedure.
Okay, so that's sort of
So-
thanks to Rachel, I think. Okay,
It
all right,
says,
then we gotta have a public hearing.
following the receipt of an individual property owner's approval, and in the case of the commission shall conduct a public hearing and provide reasonable opportunity for all interested parties to express their opinions. A notice of the hearing, the commission shall notify owners in writing of any proposal to list their property on the local register. Notification of such hearing shall be published at least 10 days in advance of such hearing in a paper of general circulation in the city.
So if we are ready to go at the end of next meeting, we could set a public hearing for the meeting following. And probably nobody will come and it will take 3 minutes or
Right.
less, so. I mean, I don't know, but there's a
Right.
reasonable chance that
Yeah.
that's the case about.
For a city building
these-
like this.
These individual
Sure.
buildings need a lot
Yeah.
of police, and
Yeah.
I think those are the two, I think, at the moment. Because we're deferring them.
So we can set that up next meeting as we complete this preparation for for submission.
Okay,
Great.
Good for remembering that.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Good? Good. Okay, well, that's great. Thank you for your help, everyone, on that. So should we move
Wait,
forward?
One more question.
Yeah.
Are we in a position to do Needle Hall and the police building together, or are we gonna have to do them individually?
From a, I mean, if the inventory form can be filled out, I think there's plenty of information that we, I
Have
would
you,
be comfortable doing both.
have you been working with Chris's inventory form?
Not filling out the material. I was trying to find out more about like the history of
history.
buildings and
Yeah.
as to what, going back to when they were built.
Do you
I
think,
didn't go through and look and say it's got.
do you think you could plug some of that into that inventory form? And
For Needle Hall,
yeah,
they would be going out and looking at it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know that this description that was at the National Register, it does say it's a one-story stick style brick foundation, some stone. That'd be, something like that would be better to go out physically.
Yep.
Go, and even if we had access to go inside that one, because the
Yeah, actually,
photograph,
last weekend it was open for the Winter Spark or whatever.
because I
that
couldn't get
festival.
over looking at the pictures
Yeah.
that were in this file as to the wood framing of the roof.
Well, and I think Celine might have some information on that building. So maybe we can chat with them later.
well, if you have a chance and can work on that.
Yeah.
If not, if we can't get that ready, then let's move ahead with the police city building and at least get one in motion.
Mhm.
I think that would be good and probably good for the news media to know that this is happening.
I think even just doing one building at a time, in other words, so they don't jam it up like
Okay,
council
that's fine.
procedure, because then even learning about the procedures of the hearing, but I'll do the inventory on Needle Hall.
Okay, great.
Okay,
I'll give you.
Oh, thank you.
so let's move forward to some updates. And what was it? I have two different agendas here. So what is the next item on our?
Creation of HPC advisory.
Okay, all right. Good. And we talked a little bit about this last time. I had a little exchange with Les Barber about this, and Les was suggesting a slightly different approach. You want to explain that, Les?
Well, I think that the idea of an advisory committee of experts who could help us with broader issues, people like somebody from the historical society, and maybe the library, maybe some and another architect, maybe a builder. So that, that idea of a sort of a formal advisory committee to us makes perfect sense. I think it would be very useful to us and would help us to some extent with our work. But the other idea I had, that's John's idea, not mine.
Right.
My idea was that maybe we could consider something like an informal volunteer group of friends of historic preservation. I don't know how many people there are out there, but there might be a fair number who would be willing to be a member of such a group. They would be sort of independent or
could be good.
quasi-independent of us, I would think, but they might help us with certain kinds of tasks like inventories.
It's
I
even
don't know,
like,
it's
like fundraising and things at some point.
it would get more
Like
people
stuff like that, I
involved, so
think
there's
so.
more, there's some publicity in it, public relations, so there are, I don't know, that's my idea, a
Maybe
friends,
like
friends
kind of-
of historic preservation.
Kind of
great.
combined, I could see them being like advisory.
Mhm.
I would give on some thought, and I was thinking I would keep it separate from fund. In other words, if
Yeah,
we-
absolutely.
At some
No,
point,
yeah, nothing to do
right
with the
now, I
fund.
think we would decide on how any monies would be. But at some point, maybe if it grows, then get to the point where you have a separate board, like the Parks and Recreation does for their endowment or fund.
Maybe
The
we,
kinds of people that I imagine being on an advisory committee would not be people who would volunteer, because they would be professionals. We would need to reach out to people and say, would you be willing to be on such a committee, maybe meet with us once a year, twice a year as we need, or even consult. Well, okay, too much detail, but
and that would be the formal.
yeah,
advisory.
but friends could be just any member of the city who's interested in it
Yeah.
and say, hey, I'd kind of like to help with this.
Friends library.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
So I don't see it as one or the other, John. I think maybe we need both.
Or maybe it could be combined. I mean,
That's
we
like-
could start off with, we could recommend some key individuals and then open it up along with that to friends. I mean, I see a need, we have and Les and I talked about this a little bit, for help in inventorying, and perhaps Heather, we may be asking help from the city. I don't know if that's even possible, but we're just not going to be able to do it all. We certainly can ask for grant monies, which would help a little bit, but we may be calling on your advice on that one.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the CLG grant is a great one to use for something like this. I just, because it's a 60-40 match. We may not be able to use that right now. We might have to wait till we have a 40% match to make that work. So,
Can that be in kind or does that have to be money?
I don't know, actually. That would be a question for Nathan. If it's not already on the SHPO website, I can look into that.
Anyway, I would love to have some help inventorying. I think we need help with research. I mean, we can do a certain amount ourselves, but I was thinking of a BGSU historian like Gary Hess, if he's, I don't know if he's still active or not. Do you know anything about Gary at the moment?
Well, he had some health issues, but
Yeah.
he's come to meetings in recent months, so.
We should, I think, get involved more with the Wood County Museum. Is that Kelly Kling? Is that the director? Yeah. And I have wanted to go to their events and I have not, so I want to make, and maybe we can all try to be a little more active with the Wood County Museum. How about a local historic builder? Somebody that in town does building. Do we have anybody in Bowling Green?
Well, somebody like Tom Pendleton, the elder,
Yeah.
has a lot of experience working on older homes.
Right.
And he would have
He
a lot
worked
of
on our home.
practical hands-on
Yeah.
information.
Barney too at the county library.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. What is Marnie's last name?
Pratt.
Pratt. Pratt. Thank you. I think I don't know her, but
Doing the walking tours.
Yeah, she does the walking
I-
tours.
and I found this. By the way, this was the old walking tour.
Mhm.
Do you have a copy of that too?
I have, someone sent me a digital version of it.
Yeah.
2005.
Uh-huh.
Whether there's any.
I'm not aware of that, but she would be great.
No.
And business owners. I mean, we
Mhm.
need to involve that downtown business
Mhm.
association.
Wait, someone that's got a long history of business in town.
I think continued conversation with
Christine,
the SID
What-
is
I'm sorry.
the SID. We had Dick Newlove and Tony Vetter visit our last meeting.
Right.
I think continued conversation with them would be, the downtown association. I mean, they have they know how to reach those business and property owners, I think.
And we could call this Friends of HBC. And we can call it anything we want, but I think just getting some key people that would be, not just somebody down the block who kind of built their garage and wants to make it look historic. I mean, I think we need those kind of people too, but
These kinds of people will not work for us. Because they've
Right.
got their own building. They will, in my view, if they agreed to be part of a group, they would expect to do no more than come to a meeting occasionally and give us advice on some specific issue. And we'll have to be organized because we won't want to get them together and then just sit around and say, well,
yeah,
you
have
what
a
do you
cup of
think about
coffee.
this or that or the
Yeah.
other thing?
Right.
We'll need,
We-
so
We need an
I don't think
agenda.
we're quite ready to do this yet.
But
Yeah.
maybe initially even just to get their thoughts. Historic.
We may get those
And-
thoughts when we have our open forum.
I think
Right.
that's a different issue.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I think
yeah.
that's a public relations issue,
Mhm.
about how we get the district.
So continue thinking about that one. Yes?
Mhm.
I think so, but
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep putting it on the agenda and we'll
okay.
revisit that.
But I just said
Yep. Yeah,
One more thing, you brought up the idea of maybe more kinds of city involvement. I mean, we have Heather, and Heather is critical to us. But in the long run, if we think ahead to the districts, possibility of districts, we definitely need more help. And I was wondering if we couldn't, a couple of practical steps we might be able to take would be to, if we reach the point of saying that we have a sort of ideal set of
Boundary.
districts or an ideal single district in mind, at that point to try individually to enlist the mayor's support. And then separately, maybe try to enlist city council's support. So we could get some kind of formal city involvement in this process.
You mean before we actually present it to city council as a,
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
okay, the idea, sorry, I'm not saying this very well. To see if we could elicit the mayor's support of our idea/ideal. No, not any implementation, that's separate.
Yeah.
And then again, separately, maybe approach city council to ask whether they would be willing to endorse our idea/ideal. It make a big difference
right.
in the long run.
Yeah, good. Just being politically on top of it before we go forward.
Well, and some of those districts may be within specific wards. Civic council
Yeah,
person.
Okay, so that's just an idea at this point. I just thought that would be one approach to trying to get more help from the city.
good. Besides the for the next meeting, besides the talking about the police city building, do you want to go back to our discussion earlier about the districts that we were trying to flesh out? And we kind of stalled on that for the moment. Is it time to revisit that again? No?
I have a thought, but Chris, you go first.
oh, I was just gonna say, I mean, I think we would love to like keep moving it forward. I'm not, the logistics of it are the part where that broke, how we actually get all that inventory done.
Yeah, I guess that was part of my thinking, that I'm reacting to Chris's map and your suggestion, which I found enormously interesting
Hmm.
and intellectually, logically compelling. If we could do, say, a 1925 this city of Bowling Green or a 1935 city of Bowling Green, whatever,
Mhm.
and have the whole thing be the district, that logically, that would be the best way to go. But practically, maybe it's not so likely to work.
Yeah,
it
I
would
think
make
that's
sense to
maybe more
us.
of a
It was like
long-term,
1925.
long
It
range.
would make sense to us maybe to include some of those small little houses up in North Enterprise Street,
Right.
because they have relationship to the Heinz plant. But the average citizen in Bowling Green is going to say, what the hell do I care about those little places? Because I think in the mind of the average citizen, they are thinking of grand buildings.
Right.
And we're thinking something different than that, but it's going to be hard for us to convince the public at large. So as much as I really like that approach, and it's really thought-provoking, I don't think it's going to work very well for us.
Yeah, and I shared that as sort of more like showing the exercise I went through. I
Yeah,
mean, I know that boundary it covered a lot. So
Yeah.
that's probably not the exact route we want to take. And I know prior to that, we had talked about, maybe doing more of the oil boom era and downtown era, so I think it's worth revisiting where we want to start. Then what I showed last time was probably maybe something that happened way.
Yeah,
What if we, we're doing the police building, what in the cities, say, the owner, what if we were to do historic sites? Maybe even start with historic sites, recognizing those. To build up interest in history preservation, or like the Heinz site, plant site. Would come up with a plaque and some way to recognize it and actually get a monument there. I mean, it's
Right.
Heinz Apartments now, but that's not-
Right.
And the other one to me was in looking at the book and doing research on the police, it was even looking at where the CVS is at as a
Yep.
historic site. In other words, that was the armory site,
Right.
which was the first classroom, say, for the normal college.
Yep.
But in other words, maybe starting out by just making some historic, like designating some historic
Okay.
sites that we can locate and then start
Some plaque with a little picture of
Plaque.
what was there.
something,
Yeah.
and a little bit of history about it, like it would describe, sort of you see on TV, sometimes you'll see on some show, and it'll show, I can't remember what the show was, Undercover, I think. But anyway, it was a singer and he was down like Atlanta, but in background, there's plaque and it described this hotel. History, something could even be short description of armory.
Right.
'Cause there was
Now,
a lot of
those sites
history.
would not be something that would be part of our ordinance, and, right, I mean, there's nothing
Not in-
there
not-
that we
not right away.
could,
No, it wouldn't be, I think the thing too would be more positive. I don't think
Right.
you'd have, don't know about the public hearings would, but I mean, I think it starts kind of
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah,
good
it's-
idea.
maybe periodically putting, just
just a recognition.
sprinkling historic sites around the
Mhm.
city, that they're there. We just gotta find them.
And maybe that's a use of that small.
It could be to make,
Hmm.
finding out something about who
Those
could
signs
make
are not cheap.
plaques and,
Yeah.
and how to, whether we attach it to the building, those kinds of. That was the thought I had whenever I started looking at those books.
I know, and I know
What was lost?
the university president, Rodney Rogers, was interested in indigenous site, sites, but he very region.
Yeah,
We have it.
it's,
As far as
I
know,
think
we
it's a
don't have-
great idea. Well, the indigenous sites, I don't know anything about, but I mean, Will's general idea, I think is a great one
No, I think-
because it, among other things, it's a way of moving
That's-
the city forward to an understanding of the importance of historic preservation. And I think that's our biggest task in the
Mhm.
years ahead.
Yeah.
To get ourselves to a place where somebody is going to put enough pressure on owners in
'cause I started
ideal districts to agree.
thinking about the buildings downtown. I did, when I worked at Urban Renewal in Colorado Springs, I did their West End, was our West End office. And it was exactly like here, it was in Colorado City, which is the original capital of Colorado. It was just the west part of Colorado Springs. But it was a building, typical of some of these here, a lot of plywood and facade. And it was like to tear it off and expose the cast iron columns and beams and things. So I think, to me, I started thinking about places like Pinellas, because I have a little history of our department secretary in Tech Systems. Her grandparents, I think, used to own the house that the library has now, and that was the bakery. And so there's history. So sort of like, to me, it's like rolling back history. It's like, how do we find out what it was, what history it had, and maybe build up funds to start maybe cleaning up some of the facades to get them back to historic, but in 21st century materials, aesthetics. But I'm trying to restore some of the facades that are just, they're covered up with like T111 plywood, and actually having funds to help, say, those owners be able to remodel the building. Just a thought. I mean,
Yeah.
that's.
I mean, Toledo just announced a few weeks ago that they're doing a large initiative and that they're increasing their facade grant and they're doing a white plaques grant. And those are things that help those like places like our downtown.
Because there's a lot
So
of,
if there's a way to get that here in Bowling Green, that would,
because there's a lot
be
of good
great.
architecture behind those facades. Some of them. But the idea of the historic sites and the doing some research to find, locate more of.
And we might put out a plea to the city, to the residents, city. See, there's people that will come up with something that we had no idea existed. Yes. So, very good idea.
I would like to add to that. I mean, there's other components to that. So there's an educational component.
right.
You know, I do know there's a teacher at Crim that likes to take her students downtown and point to the buildings. And did you know this? And did you know that?
Need to
And
get
I
their
think
name.
you could add to that, you know, on a bigger scale is,
Yep.
you know, hitting these different sites. And even, I hate to bring this up, but even this building, you know, there could be a plaque of that sort of you know, this building and what it
Could be.
was and when, and
Yeah.
a picture. And I know there's a picture in this book of a class out front when it
Mhm.
was the school, you know, something like that, that just recognizes the site as it was, you know, it is a critical site
Right,
and the
it will-
history of that.
It will be gone soon.
Correct,
but
yes. Mhm.
It's maybe outlived its life. I
Should
mean,
be
at some point,
remembered. You know who that teacher is?
I'd have to ask
Okay.
my children. I remember. And also I meant to also say not only educational, but economic development. I
Yep.
mean, people coming to a community because they want to do those specific tours. And you know, Perrysburg always said people come out of state to look at their downtown and read those plaques, and then they go grab a coffee and then they go shop. And
Yeah.
so just something to consider. A lot of partners that could happen, I think.
there was one in Telluride, Colorado. I was visiting a student out there one time. There's a rock right in town. Tesla, that was like the first city, maybe lights, DC, and the Telluride mines, but there's a rock. So that we could find other history that took place.
In addition to everything else you've said, it's also a natural for getting the business community involved. This is something that they could feel good about. If they
Then
had-
we work
had a
on
plaque-
buildings later, you know,
plaque
I mean,
you know,
next.
recognizing their building and they
Yeah.
didn't have any rules governing it and stuff.
Yeah.
They
Find out.
probably sign right on, maybe even give us money now.
Yeah, because there's like some of these, like the Shakespeare Club and some of that, the met upstairs and so there's a lot of things that went on in Bowling Green.
Mhm.
You read through those two books, it's just incredible what all took place.
I also don't know if you read any articles about how some city officials and business owners visited Bell Fountain.
Mhm.
And if you ever want to, you know, a trip there, I think it would be fascinating to you to walk around and see that they've really built a lot of their buildings, or I should say remodeled, on the history of that. And they turned the business into a facet of that was built, the business was built on that. So for example, they have something called the Syndicate there. So they remodeled the building and built it on their first newsstand there. And actually the bar area looks like a old newsstand. And again, they called it the Syndicate based on that. And it's just really cool. I don't know what else to say about it. Besides, if you go do a tour there yourself and look around, you'll see all the history there. They have some apartments they built upstairs of a, I can't remember if it's an ice cream shop, but literally if you walk through their lobby, they have old pictures of the Wright brothers had flew their first plane out of the back of that building. And so they have the picture of the plane. And then they had, what do you call that? The Ghostbusters vehicle was built
Oh.
there,
Mhm.
and they have a picture of that. But again, it's just celebrating history, but also it's kind of cool to go there and as a
Yeah.
touristy type of thing and see that, and just a lot of cool ties you can do. And they've really built on that and got that tourism interest there, and it helps their businesses, you know, to, oh, I want to see that picture. And it's a lot of cool stuff they're doing there right now. But anyway, just throwing that out there.
You did that tour?
Yes.
That's
Was Chris Tracy there also?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought she'd mentioned it. So Yeah. She
Okay,
can provide her input as well.
I think we need to do a field trip, but not in the winter. Maybe we can wait till springtime, but let's keep that in mind. I think it's a great idea. I know when I travel a lot, and every time I go to a big or small town, I want to know about the history,
Mhm.
what happened here.
Mhm.
And right now, I'm not sure that anyone coming to Bowling Green could find out that information very quickly. So we need to help correct that for at least those few people, maybe a lot of people that are also interested in history. Great. Okay, we're going to wrap up a little bit early. Les, did you have anything about the preservation fund that you,
Yes,
any developments?
I listened in last time. I actually looked at the recording of the meeting because for some reason I couldn't get into it live just to watch. But I was a little disappointed that you didn't vote on it. And that was kind of the purpose was
That we did or did not
did
vote?
not. In other words, that's all the mayor was wanting to know, that the commission is behind doing that. And then we would move forward with, I would move forward with mayor. That needs to go to city council, which I think it does, which I was kind of surprised.
We could vote on it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
just
think we just wanted to make sure we knew what you were.
That's it.
Your
Because all
intent before we.
on the deed of the gift, it's pretty much a lot of this nomenclature as to who does what. There's one sentence in there that I made very generic about the monies being used for pretty much the mission and the needs, and very open. So it's not very focused on us.
Yeah.
Got to be for specific things. It's sort of like would be up to the commission to decide whether it's used for plaques or seminar, whatever. But it would be, if we're all behind it. I know Christina's,
setting it up.
that's just, yes,
That's
but
all we're doing.
we are for it, doing it and move forward with the paperwork. And as apparently he had Michael Marsh look at the deed of the gift and didn't see anything that needed corrected. And
Well, I'm totally in favor of it.
I guess,
I suspect we all are.
I guess we need a motion. And
Okay, I'll move that we accept your proposal.
or creating an endowment fund for
Okay, do
historic preservation fund.
we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
So
We
this
need
is-
to get this language right.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, as a staff member, I'm very confused by the whole thing, and maybe I've thrown a wrench in there, but I mean, what next? Now
Well,
Toledo Community Foundation does some, I mean, I think
No,
this is
I-
over my
they
expertise. and-
already looked at it and gave me feedback that's reflected in what you have. And the mayor has that and gave it to Michael Marsh. So it would be for me to get with the mayor to find out what's.
Okay,
next.
as long as you all know, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to
Because
So,
think
I don't know
what
if I
he's
need to do
gotta
anything.
is
I'm
I think he's got to present it. to
easily
city
confused these
council.
so this is what you gave us this a couple meetings ago, is
Yeah,
that
and this-
correct? When did we
It's
get that?
emailed out.
So it's the Bowling Green Historic Preservation Fund. That's what I think it's called. That's the actual name. The Bowling Green Historic Preservation Fund.
I'm just looking for my copy. I probably don't have it here. Do you
It
have,
was emailed to us on 10/18. Is that,
This is like 2 pages that this.
yeah.
We're a couple of versions, so we want to make sure we got the second one, the right
Yeah,
one.
the last one, I think, has got the mayor's name under the signature line. As originally, I think I didn't have his, and the Toledo Community Foundation came back with that change. And that may change, but I think, if the mayor's the one that talked about doing the initial fund to endow it, then that's like $10,000. I don't think Toledo Community Foundation has increased it. Bowling Green State University's is 25,000. Hopefully Toledo will staying at 10. But what that does is at up to $10,000, you don't get any interest.
Right.
But once it gets to 10,000, then it's endowed. Then you'd get maybe 3 or 4% per year that would come into the same account, say that the Boone Town money is in. go there.
Okay, so the effect of your document would be for us to formally state our intention to create such a fund. But
Yeah,
but the fund would not exist. There'd be nothing in
Right,
Toledo
just
yet.
you're endorse or
It would be our
endorsing,
intent to
creating such a fund.
endorse the creation of such a fund under the aegis of the Toledo.
Yeah. Which,
Mhm.
which is the Bowling Green Community Foundation's aware of it also. 'Cause
I guess I need
You want me to
I
read
need
it?
to find that document. and
Okay,
so
yeah, Chris is correct. It was, Will sent it to us, 10/20, what is it, date again? 10/13,
10/13.
yeah.
Yeah, I think 10/18 was the latest draft.
10/18?
Okay, so then the
no,
motion is to approve
Wait a minute.
The fund
He thinks
agreement.
this isn't the first.
the fund
version.
agreement. Is that?
Yeah, that's how he has it.
This is the
placed
one.
here As a fund,
Okay.
as a fund agreement.
Because it actually has the mayor's name on the mayor.
Right.
I
Okay.
didn't put that Toledo
Mhm.
Foundation.
And this is just to set it up so that
just to get
we
it going, yep.
can accept
Then we can
donations.
start accepting donations into it. Build it up to the mayor's willing to put 10,000. from the
Well,
city.
it didn't quite sound like he was ready
Originally, when
to.
I talked to him, it sounded like he was
Okay,
for it, but then it's like, oh, we got to go to the council. So it's like, oh,
So Will, maybe you can talk to him again,
yeah,
see what you can do there. That would be great.
you're all for it.
Well, I see no problem. Are you still hesitant here, Heather?
No, I'm just saying it's not in the budget. It's not in the planning department budget, that's for sure. And I know it's not in the budget as far as I'm aware
Uh,
to do that kind of
Sure.
money, but
No implication in this about money, right?
Yeah,
This is just
correct.
to create a mechanism.
It's
Right.
zero. That's at zero. We just got to build it up.
So this is creating that,
Element.
that people are able to donate to.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
If we get it built up substantially, then you have quite a bit of money come off each. Figure out what to
Yeah.
do, which is really good. Because I see, like with buildings, people being interested in having buildings recognized if there was cost fund.
You mean downtown buildings? or- Yeah.
Houses and.
Yeah.
Maybe helps with their.
Good. Okay, so based on what we have just talked about and heard, are we prepared to take a vote? Les, are you good?
Mhm.
Chris? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, that carries. So,
I'll set up. I'll get.
great. Okay, any other business?
Thank you.
We didn't get through everything that was on my list.
The only thing, I just want to make sure, is there anything we need to send to SHPO for our CLG by the end of the year?
I don't think that we needed to,
Okay,
but I will double check
so that,
because it's not, I don't even think we've been a CLG for a year.
right.
So
But
Yeah.
it's, they do want something, at some point, they kind of want to check in, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I
think
believe
that's
Nathan
right.
had indicated he would send an email to
Okay,
me
great.
as the contact, but it didn't seem like that was going to happen this year,
Okay,
if I remember correctly.
we'll just wait for his email and then gather the information we
That's
need.
probably a good way to move forward.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't.
Oh,
missing something there.
The one other thing that actually Les had brought up to me as a possible discussion was whether or not we should enlarge our commission or recommend that it have more membership or more help. Am I stating that correctly, Les?
Yeah,
Um,
as a way of getting more people to help do some of the work.
Yeah,
And so that's not on the agenda, correct? Is that something
It's
you
not
want in the
on the
future?
agenda.
Okay, I just want to
Yeah.
yeah.
keep control of all
Can-
this.
Yeah, we
It would
can.
be best
So
to
let's
postpone this.
think about that topic, and I'll put that on for next time as well. All right, any other final thoughts? We have lobby visitation. Welcome.
We need to have you up
You're-
to the microphone.
you're
Because
our
the last meeting, the two speakers you had, you couldn't hear them.
Right, they have to go to the mic.
Is there what? I'm sorry. A large plan. Yeah. Sure. We're definitely brainstorming. I mean, I think our original main plan from my perspective was to create these overlay districts within our city that we could recognize and encourage historical preservation. And we're kind of chipping away at that by starting with some individual properties. I think we want to go big, but we're not quite ready to do that yet.
Mhm.
Am I saying this okay?
Yeah, I think that's the goal. We have not yet reached agreement on what we think that the shape or the configuration of that goal should be, but I think that we think that's the ultimate goal. But we do, he's right. I mean, we have, I mean, just today, there's at least 4 or 5 different things that have been suggested as means of getting to that goal. We haven't talked about the obstacles today, but there are obstacles, and we need to talk practically at some point about how those obstacles fit in terms of that long range goal. You know,
Yep.
how far ahead are we willing to let that long range end be
Mhm.
in order
What
to?
is it? Yeah, what is it? What is
So I think it's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
It would help us prioritize how we do with these 6 or 7 individual ideas that we have here about, plaques and others.
Well, I can see side projects happening simultaneously with our overall dream for the commission. And that's kind
But it
of,
would help us prioritize those side projects. How important is each one for
Right.
getting us toward that goal?
yeah. But all those side projects too help us, at least in our minds, we'll see if it works, publicize our commission and our goals of,
Mhm.
Yeah,
within
Education
the
and-
community, right?
Mhm.
So I do want to get back to the larger districts sometime fairly soon, but maybe not today.
Yeah.
Thank you for your input.
Thanks, Celine.
Do we have a suggestion for adjournment?
Good.
We have Will has moved to adjourn. Any second?
Second.
Everybody approve? Say aye.
Bye.
Aye. Thank you very much.